Good evening. My name is Dr. Bilal Badruddin. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am excited to serve as your Director of Alumni Relations here at Howard University. Tonight, we have a great discussion with Trustee Jeanette Howard, where we will talk about a new initiative here at Howard, the Alumni Leadership Academy, which is an initiative out of the Board of Trustees and our Office of the Secretary. So without further ado, I would like to hand it over to Trustee Dr. Jeanette Howard to introduce herself.
Thank you so much, Bilal, and good evening, everyone. I am delighted to be here with you tonight. I do have to just say I have a bit of a raspy voice. It is the post-homecoming, a bit of laryngitis, but I always say it's worth it. I hope that those of you who were able to make it back to Howard for homecoming had as enjoyable a time as I did. So as Bilal mentioned, my name is Jeanette Howard. I am a proud graduate of the class of 1997, School of Communications. I've had the honor of serving on our university's Board of Trustees for the past 9 years. And I believe it's been for about 6 years where I've served as the chairperson of our Academic Excellence Committee. And I also serve as a member of our governance committee, and the initiative that we'll be discussing tonight, the Alumni Leadership Academy, has come out of our governance committee. So in my day job, I also am immersed in higher education. I currently work in educational philanthropy. I've been in philanthropy for the past 12 years. Prior to that, I was the Secretary of Higher Education for the state of Maryland. So I am delighted to be here and also just thrilled to be able to speak about this new initiative of the Board of Trustees, the Alumni Leadership Academy.
Thank you so much. As we discuss the Alumni Leadership Academy in the chat, I will put the link to our website just so you all can follow along if you haven't already seen the site. I'm sure many of you have, as that's where the registration for today's Alumni Insight Call was hosted. But once again, I'll just put that link there. So, Trustee Howard, can you talk a little bit about what inspired the creation of the Alumni Leadership Academy and how do you envision it impacting the Howard alumni community?
Absolutely. So, we have just an amazing alumni community. And one of the things that I am most aware of as a member of that community is that alumni really want to stay connected to our university, and they want to find meaningful ways to be connected to our university. And that is true also for the members of our Board of Trustees. And I think it's worth noting, Bilal, that there is a bylaw that states that at least 50% of our board will consist of alumni members. So we have fantastic representation of alumni on the Board of Trustees. But we know that that's just a very small percentage of the amazing alumni that we have around the world. So the Alumni Leadership Academy is an initiative developed by the board, supported and sponsored by board members, that is designed to give more of our alumni being one of the university's most important stakeholders, an opportunity to be engaged with members of the Board of Trustees in a real meaningful way. So, of course, we all engage with alumni kind of in our capacity as members of the Howard University community. I was thrilled to see so many alumni over the weekend, but this will give us an opportunity to engage with more alumni in an intentional way around leadership, different kinds of leadership, right? What does it mean to be a member of this board? What does it mean to be a corporate board? What does it mean to be a nonprofit leader? What does it mean to be a leader without a title? So these are some of the issues that we are going to tackle. But additionally, we want to give more members of our alumni community, an opportunity to receive kind of updates and insights, but also to share their feedback, to share their perspectives with members of the board and the university's senior leadership team. So this is really, again, an opportunity to discuss, contemplate, and think about leadership, but also to make sure that there are yet more opportunities for alumni to meaningfully stay connected to our beloved Howard University.
I love that. So you mentioned a lot there, right? Because I think talking about, yes, the alumni representation on our board, but you're absolutely right in that there are a number of other boards that exist, and that are opportunities for our alumni to really still represent the university in whatever field they are in. And
Absolutely.
so, what are some of the key components and or features of the Alumni Leadership Academy that our participants should look forward to prepare them to serve on a board?
Well, that's an interesting question. And I want to be sure to say that the Alumni Leadership Academy is not designed to be a pathway to membership on the Board of Trustees, right? The Alumni Leadership Academy is designed to be an opportunity for meaningful engagement with the Board of Trustees and to share with our alumni community other opportunities to engage with the university. One of which, if I can just add, in addition to this initiative, the Alumni Leadership Academy, the board created another initiative, which was the expansion of our boards of visitors for all of our schools and colleges. So now every single school and college at the university has its own board of visitors, and that's another way for alumni from the university to engage and to contribute and give back to the institution. So I just want to make that point, Bilal, because I did not want to be misleading or didn't want to be unclear in any way. But some of the things that I think members of the Alumni Leadership Academy can look forward to, really regular conversations with board members. And we're planning for each of these sessions to include 2 to 3 members of the Board of Trustees who will be discussing a specific topic. So it might be corporate leadership, it might be corporate board membership. We'll be discussing nonprofit board membership. We will be discussing how to lead through transition, how to lead in turbulent times. So there will be different topics, and again, we'll be hearing from experts because our board members are really leaders in their fields, in their companies and organizations, have great experience. But we also know that so many of our alumni are leaders in their own right. So we don't just see this as kind of the alumni members receiving from the board members, but we see it really as a reciprocal opportunity for engagement. In addition to these conversations with our board members, which we anticipate will be every other month, we want to have some in-person engagement opportunities around some of our signature university events. For example, Charter Day. That will be a great time for the members of the Alumni Leadership Academy to come to camp. If they're already coming to campus, perhaps they will be guests at the board members' tables, right? We can have some sort of a curated opportunity for us to meet in person and to have some of the discussions that we otherwise will have had virtually. And I will say the last component of the Academy, while it is designed for those opportunities for board members to connect with our alumni community, we also will have conversations with members of the university's senior leadership team and our alumni. So what kinds of questions do you have for Dr. Vincent, who's been our president now for just over a year? Would you like to have a chance to be in a small group conversation with him and get his thoughts on what's it like to be at a place like Howard, which is very different than any place he's ever been? Some of our other key leaders, let's say you have some questions about the admissions process, or man, how much has admissions changed since we were all at the university? There will be opportunities to meet with key leaders and to have some of those conversations. So I think it's a really exciting opportunity. I would apply if I were one of the sponsors of the Leadership Academy, Bilal.
Of course. No, I think you know, right there, as someone who is an alum and the director of alumni relations. If I wasn't in my role, I also would apply.
Right.
There's a lot of exciting pieces that you mentioned. And even as someone who currently serves on a board myself,
Hmm.
a lot of those skills are transferable, right? And
Absolutely.
we can continue to hone in on those skills and develop from there.
Yeah.
And
Can
so,
I'm sorry. Can
no,
I
no,
mention one more thing, Bilal?
for
Because
sure.
I want to just mention it before I forget. We actually modeled the academy somewhat after two academies that already exist at the university. So there's the Faculty Leadership Academy. I don't know if our guests tonight are aware of this, but there's a Faculty Leadership Academy for rising faculty members who might want to become the chair of their departments or want to be on the pathway to becoming a dean. We have that academy already in place. And we also have a Student Leadership Academy, which has been in place for many years. You think about the leaders of HUSA, UGSA, other campus leadership positions, but we didn't have anything for our alumni members. And so we really modeled some aspects of our academy after those academies that already exist. I just want to get that in.
No, that's helpful. Um, and because while we all are continuing to develop our leadership skills, the leadership skills that we learn when we are in school are not necessarily the same. They transfer, sure, but they're not the same as the leadership skills that we need now as we continue to serve on boards or aspire to serve on boards. And so, are there specific leadership skills or competencies that the Alumni Leadership Academy aims to develop in our alums?
Well, I want to again just be really careful about that because we are seeking alumni from across all generations and across all fields of study and professions. And so, yes, there might be some leadership skills that, in our objective statement, there are certain things that we'd like to achieve. But we also know that some individuals are going to come to the Leadership Academy, or at least we hope that there will be some individuals who come to the Leadership Academy with extensive leadership experience already. There might be some more recent graduates who come with different kinds of experiences. So there's not one size fits all for the kinds of individuals that we are hoping will apply and that will be selected for this. I just want to be careful not to say, yes, we're looking to develop this competency because in fact, in one person, that competency might be developed, but in another person, they might already have experience and expertise in that area. And both of those individuals would be welcome to be a part of the academy. In part because it's also this cohort model, right? So we will be learning and discussing and hearing new and different perspectives together. And even though one person may have more experience and one might have less, I believe strongly that there's an opportunity to think about leadership together and to learn about new and different aspects of leadership from one another.
That makes perfect sense because I think it also speaks to what you mentioned earlier about um, the alums learning from the board of trustees, but also the board of trustees learning from our alumni community
Yes.
and that exchange there. Uh,
Hmm.
and quite frankly, I think it'll help those who are involved in the program just holistically develop, right, on the professional and personal side.
Sure.
Um, and so when we talk about who's eligible to participate in the Alumni Leadership Academy, how can alumni get involved?
Sure. There aren't many criteria, except that we are looking for degreed graduates of Howard University. And I wanted to be crystal clear about that because sometimes we define alumni status differently. Am I correct, Dr. Bilal? Sometimes it is if you attended Howard for 2 years, you're an alum, even if you didn't graduate. And so for the academy, we are defining alumni status as having received a conferred degree from the university. Other than that, there aren't a lot of specific criteria, but I can tell you that we are looking for broad representation across generations. So we want more recent alumni as well as alumni from many decades ago. We are looking for individuals who may have professional positions that suggest that they hold a leadership position right now. And we are looking for individuals who may not have a position that suggests they are leaders, but something that we're taught at Howard is that you can lead from wherever you are, right? Regardless of your title. And so I am hoping that people will make that case in their application that they have been able to be leaders in their communities, that they've been able to be leaders within their church, leaders within their families, leaders within their companies, leaders within their organizations. And so we are looking for a kind of broad array of leadership experiences and also leadership aptitude. We're looking for people who are really excited about engaging in this opportunity. And I am hoping that one of the outcomes of the Academy is that individuals will be more excited about their role as an ambassador for the university because really every alum is and should be an ambassador for Howard.
Indeed, I love that. And so, you've got my interest, right? And so, what does the selection process look like for those who want to join the academy?
Well, I'm very glad that you asked that question as well. And when I say we, I mean Dr. Bilal has created a great webpage that includes a link to our application. And you'll see there that there are just a few questions, and we ask you to develop some thoughtful responses. They don't have to be, several pages long. In fact, I don't know if there are word limits to the responses, but we're looking for brief but thoughtful responses. When Ms. Tyus and Dr. Bilal were asking me what I wanted to see in the application, my response was, I really want to see if people have a heart for Howard University, and how we get at that is something that we discussed. But I'd love to hear about, and we, the selection committee, we would love to hear about what Howard has meant to you, why you're excited about this opportunity, what you think you could get out of this opportunity. Of course, we would like to know about uh, your major at Howard, again, because we're looking for a diversity of majors and a diversity of representation across generations. So we have a couple of questions about that. But other than that, we're just really looking for your authentic answers and your excitement. And I should say, this is our pilot academy. So while we are super excited, we may not get everything exactly right this time. And we might learn some things through this application process that will help us do the application process even better next time. Maybe we do need more criteria. But for now, the only criteria is the degree status and then your responses to those questions.
Absolutely. As the member of the inaugural cohort of my PhD program at Howard, I know that when you are in that inaugural cohort, you are building the ship as it going. So that is, I think, one of the best parts about being a part of the first cohort is that you get to really see the program grow and shift as it continues. And so that's exciting, definitely for the folks who do get to join the first cohort.
Absolutely.
And I know that you talked a little bit about the approach that we do hope to have some in-person and virtual components to what
Yes.
the academy looks like. But can you talk about the time commitment that would be required of participants?
Yes, that's a really another great question. So we did not want the academy to be something that was overly laborious or, taxing for our alumni. We wanted it to be something that they would be able to participate and engage in without devoting a lot more time than they already have to spend with their jobs and, personal lives. So we anticipate again that we will have these sessions with the trustees once every other month. And then on the off months with the trustees, that we will have sessions with the members of the senior leadership team, and that the time commitment for those sessions will be about 2 hours a month. And the focus of those sessions is not going to be on kind of lecture. So you're not going to hear someone just talking at you for 2 hours. There will be a very much an exchange, sort of a conversation and discussion, maybe with some questions to guide that discussion, but it will definitely be a conversation. So we hope that with that level of time commitment, that it will be seen as reasonable and that that is something that people will be able to integrate into their lives. And then, of course, the in-person opportunities, which will be optional. We do hope that people will take advantage of those so that they can join us on campus, as I said, at Charter Day or during convocation. Or, if we had gotten this underway earlier, we probably would have even had some sort of a reception during homecoming. But in future years, that's certainly something that I hope we'll be able to do.
Homecoming would be great, but also this past homecoming would have been a lot. There's already a lot going on with the 100th homecoming.
Yes, for sure.
Um, um, so you talked about this program integrating seamlessly with participants'
Mhm.
lives as busy as they are. But and you did mention a little bit about what the goal of the program is, but how
Sure.
can alumni leverage participation in the academy to
Mhm.
make a greater impact in their professional field, but also, and I would say more importantly, the Howard community?
Absolutely. Well, going back to the statement that I made earlier that the academy isn't designed to be a direct kind of on-ramp to the Howard University Board of Trustees, but we are going to talk about board leadership and different components and aspects of board leadership. So one of the questions that I know all of us get asked about the various boards we sit on is, if you've never been a board member, the question is, well, how do I become a board member, right? And we'll discuss that. So if that is something that you desire within your personal capacity or within your professional capacity, we'll be able to talk about those processes and what boards look for. For example, one of the uh, key aspects of board governance is to always keep an eye on the kinds of talent, skills, and competencies that the board requires, and whether or not there's a match or a gap between what we actually have. So if we need budget and finance experience, we're going to go after specific individuals with that kind of experience, right? If we need higher education experience, we're going to seek out those individuals. That's kind of how board governance works. So we'll have those discussions. And I just think that knowledge is valuable and it can help individuals prepare or position themselves for various boards that they might be interested in. We will, and so I think that that would be helpful. And you said your professional or your personal capacity, Bilal?
Well, so professional as well, but then also more importantly, the Howard community.
Absolutely. Well, my sense is, and my hope is that once individuals have a bit of an up close and personal opportunity to learn about some of the things that are happening at Howard University from some of our leaders, from some of our board leaders. Because remember, as board members, we're not just looking at what's happening right now. We're thinking about where do we want to be in 10 years? And how do we position ourselves for that? And what do we need in order to meet these ambitious goals that we have? And there's a role for every single stakeholder to help us get there. So I hope that members of the Alumni Leadership Academy will be able to say, hey, this is the role that I play as an alumni from the class of whatever in helping Howard University reach these audacious goals, even from where I'm sitting in my home in X state. right? This is what I can do. Does it mean that I connect with my alumni club? Does it mean that I do something to support current Howard students from my hometown? Does it mean that I get connected to one of our new incredible research centers at Howard? There are so many ways to engage. And I know that before I became a member of the board, I often wondered, how can I connect and engage at the university? And there are so many ways to do that if you don't sit on the board of trustees, if you don't sit on the board of visitors. And I want people to really understand what those opportunities are, again, so that they can be the best ambassador for Howard University that they can be.
Definitely. I think it also speaks to the the phrase that President Vincent often uses about Howard at maximum strength, right?
Absolutely.
What our alums can do, regardless of where they are at, to help Howard be at maximum strength. So,
That's right.
and you talked about the goals that our alums might have and the ways that the Alumni Leadership Academy can help them achieve those goals for themselves. And as someone who is the brainchild of the Alumni Leadership Academy, if you will, um, can you talk about what your long-term goals for the Alumni Leadership Academy are?
Hmm. Sure. Well, I don't know. Well, that's a lot of weight on my shoulders to say I'm the brainchild, but I certainly am an advocate and an incredibly strong supporter of the Alumni Leadership Academy. And my hope for this academy is that it will remain in perpetuity, that it will outlive and outlast all of us, that individuals who go through this academy will feel an even greater sense of connection to our university, that there will be an opportunity for uh, direct and honest conversation. Because I will say this, you know, not everything is perfect at Howard. I mean, there are things that we need to improve. I'm sure that our alumni also still hear from friends and others about things at Howard University that we could be doing better. And so the Alumni Leadership Academy is also an opportunity for to have those conversations in a constructive way. And I want everyone to understand, hey, while Howard isn't perfect, what's the role that we each play in making her more perfect so that generations of would-be Howard students get to have some of the same exceptional experiences that we have. Two of my other goals for the academy are that in future years, we will have maybe even kind of mentors from some of the first cohorts who can connect with some of the newer academy members. You know, we've talked a little bit about that, but once you go through the academy, you might still want to be connected in some way. So might we be able to connect some individuals with some of the newer cohort members? Now, of course, this will be the first cohort, so we don't have anyone to serve as mentors, but that is one of my hopes for the future. And finally, I hope that this will be something that is so substantive and meaningful that individuals will want to put it on their resumes, that they will be able to leverage some of these experiences. I think that you will be able to expand your network, both with members of your cohort, but also members of the board of trustees, members of the university community. As a member of the board for 9 years, I never would have imagined some of the friendships and relationships that I would develop with these amazing individuals who happen to be members of the board. So I do hope that you will be able to leverage this experience to support your professional growth, success, and also what you're able to do in terms of your own personal leadership goals and objectives as well.
You mentioned that this cohort might not have mentors that have gone through the program, but it does sound like you are creating ample opportunity for them to still find mentorship with the board
Absolutely.
of trustees or external speakers. So definitely a
Absolutely.
great opportunity there.
Yes.
Um, can you talk a little bit about how you plan to measure whether or not this first cohort of the Alumni Leadership Academy or if the program as a whole has been a success? What outcomes are you hoping to achieve?
Absolutely. So, one of the indicators that we will use, and I love this question because I'm a big kind of data and assessment person. So one of the indicators and data points that we will use is we will be asking alumni for their feedback after they've gone through the program. And I would say not just at the end of the program, but at key points along the way to see if we are meeting their expected needs, if they are finding meaning and value in the conversations, in the discussions. Are there different kind of topics that they would like to see us address? Although we will have the curriculum developed, we will still be able to receive feedback and, if necessary, make some pivots. So we'll definitely be seeking that the alumni participant feedback, but also we will be gauging whether or not, from the trustees' perspective, we think that this academy is actually giving us those more intentional opportunities to engage with a broader segment of our alumni population, right? So we are going to ask each of our board members to be speakers at least one of our sessions. And one of the questions for our trustees it will be, what did you get out of the experience of engaging with alumni? Did you learn a new perspective? Did you get some new information? What did one of the questions make you think about our board work and what we perhaps could be doing differently? So it's kind of both ways, Bilal. And I think another question that I would ask at the end is whether or not our participants would recommend uh, participation in the academy to another alumni. Because, referring someone to participate is usually one of the best indicators as to whether or not a person found value in the experience. And so we'll also be looking at that.
I love that. I love specifically the intentionality of gathering feedback not only from the participants, but from the board of trustees and how they're engaging as well. So
Absolutely.
it's super important. For everyone listening in, I would like to remind you all the Q&A box is open. I'm about to ask my last question, but we will ask a few of your questions as well. Um, and so, Steve Howard, can you talk a little bit about what the next steps for our alumni are as they're interested in learning more and potentially applying for the academy?
Absolutely. The next step, if you were interested in applying for the academy, and I have to say, I ran into several alumni over homecoming weekend who had at least heard of it and were thinking about wanting more information. So that's really exciting. So the next step is to go to our website. If you don't have that link, I believe we can make that link available to you. The application is included as a part of our website. Uh, I believe the application is due, is it November 22nd, Bilal? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct.
Okay, so the application is due 1 month from today. We will not be extending the application deadline, so please, 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 if you are interested, make sure that you get it in by that deadline. After that, we have a review committee, selection committee who will be reviewing applications. And oh, I'm sorry, we have here the time frame is, oh, that is it November 22nd? It's saying?
So the deadline is 11:59 on the 21st, so the 22nd would be the cutoff of no more application, no more.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you, thank you. There is a selection committee who will review the applications, really paying attention to those questions. We'll be reading the essay questions. The review committee will include trustees who graduated in the 70s, 80s, myself, and we will select that first cohort. And it says here applicants will be notified I don't know if we have that date yet of when folks will be notified.
Right, I don't believe so. I know that based off of our timeline, it'll be before the end of the calendar year.
Okay. And we plan to kick off next semester.
Correct.
Okay, yes. So
Um,
again, we try not to make the application process too challenging or difficult, just those few questions. You don't need references or anything like that. I would say just kind of speak from the heart, why you want to be a part of this, what you think you would get out of it. And we'll be reviewing those questions and making our selection, again, with the intent of making sure we have representation across all areas.
all right, the Q&A box is jumping right now, and
Okay.
um, so this question is from Dr. Finley, which I think is an interesting thing for us to think about. So Dr. Finley asked, what type of archival effort, whether it be an annual report or something of that sort, will be initiated or considered as to preserve the Howard Alumni Leadership Academy dialogue?
Hmm. Well, I thank you for that question. I will say that we're still working with the Office of the Secretary to ensure that the Alumni Leadership Academy is appropriately staffed so that we can capture some of this great information for historical purposes. On the other hand, though, we likely will not be recording these conversations because they are going to be and are designed to be small, intimate discussions. And we want people to feel as if they can speak freely without that information going beyond that particular discussion. We want the trustees to feel as if they can speak freely. So while the conversations will likely not be recorded, I do think that we need to be deliberate about how we capture the information. And so your question prompts me to think that we probably need to spend a bit of time, Bilal and Lawanda working together to really be thoughtful about how we capture the experience in a way that protects the confidentiality of some of the discussions. So thank you for raising that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm actually seeing a few questions that have similar themes. So can you talk about how large or small that first cohort will be?
Sure. So we've thought a lot about this, and one of the main takeaways from those discussions is that we want the cohort to be of an appropriate size that will allow for in-depth, engaging discussion that will happen virtually. And so that probably is a smaller group of probably less than 50, I would say, uh, more than 20. But we haven't landed on a specific number as of yet, in part because we don't know how many people will be applying for this inaugural cohort. And so I think our major thoughts about the number really are that we want it to be small enough to have discussion so that everyone who's a part of the cohort feels as if they can ask questions, get those questions answered, make comments, and so that we can all get to know one another too. So somewhere I would say between 25 and 50 probably.
Um, we have another question. If you are involved with a local alumni club, specifically as an executive committee member, is this potentially a conflict?
Hmm. I don't think it's a conflict. However, we were very clear that it wasn't only for people who do or who have had some sort of a leadership position within HUAA, right? So if you'd like to be a part of this and you think you have the time, please apply, but that is absolutely not a prerequisite. And I just see one more. I have the Q&A open, and this is at the bottom. Is there any sort of financial commitment? Absolutely not. Look, I think Howard has gotten enough of everyone's money for tuition and fees. If you have any money that you want to spend, please make a contribution to Howard University. But this is not a pay to play sort of an opportunity. So we're not asking you for any of your personal resources to be a part of this academy.
Absolutely. And for many boards, there is a financial expectation there. And so that'll be one of the things that they will likely learn during this process, right? During
Oh,
the
yes.
academy.
Oh,
But
yes.
for the academy to be,
Yes.
as Trustee Howard stated, we want this to be an opportunity for all of our alumni to engage, regardless of their financial capacity.
Yes, very good point. Yeah, for all boards, the nonprofit boards, there is an expectation of giving, including our board of trustees. And then we'll talk about some of those corporate boards where you actually get paid for your service, right?
Mhm.
So some boards you have to pay for the privilege of serving, and other boards you get compensated for that opportunity to share your expertise. So that'll be a fun discussion.
Absolutely. What is the term requirement or expectation for participating? So how long do you think the program will be?
So, and please chime in here. So we've spoken a little bit about this. We wanted it to run over the course of an academic year, I believe. Um, and Bilal, I don't know if we finalized this, but we wanted it to go beyond just a single semester. Is that right? Or what were you thinking?
Absolutely. So, us starting and opening the application today is a little bit behind our anticipated schedule. But we also don't want to shorten the experience of the first cohort. And so, we are looking at ways to ensure that the first cohort gets the full experience that we are hoping for. And then cohort two will also then get a full experience as well. And just what that timeline looks like has not been finalized. But we anticipate it being essentially a calendar year or a academic year.
Great.
Um, Looking at more, so will remote participation for those who cannot return to Howard University or DC be considered on the same level as those alums who can participate in person?
Sure. Yes, so let me clarify this. All of the sessions will be virtual. So there will not be any advantages or disadvantages. In fact, I don't live in the DC area, so I will always be participating virtually. So your application will not be disadvantaged if you are outside of the DMV area. Uh, the only in-person opportunities that I mentioned would be optional. And we are hoping to have opportunities to convene members of the academy around some of those signature university events, homecoming, charter day, convocation, a reception, coming to the charter day dinner as a guest of a trustee, something like that. But again, those are all optional experiences.
Absolutely. Um, we have another question here from Lisa White. Will there be a wait list, or once the cohort has been selected, all unaccepted applications are destroyed and the application process will start from scratch in the future?
Hmm. Hmm. We we haven't actually decided on that. Although I've thought a bit about it, we haven't made any definitive decisions. I will say that although everyone may not be able to be selected for the initial cohort, I do think that and I've shared a little bit about this with Lawanda and Bilal. I do think that if an alum has applied and has expressed an interest in the academy, even if they aren't selected for the initial academy, we should still provide some special experience for everyone who applied. Again, for example, can we have a virtual fireside chat with the chairman of the board of trustees? Can we have a virtual conversation with the president about the new strategic plan that we only invite applicants to the academy to participate in? Can we have some of those other kinds of conversations that we would open up to uh, the applicant pool, in addition to the conversations that we had for academy participants? And that's something that I would really like to do to express our appreciation, first of all, for you taking the time to apply. But that also, your applying says that you do want to be connected. And so I think that we need to offer an opportunity for that to happen. So those are my thoughts. We haven't developed that plan just yet, but we will.
Definitely. We have an anonymous question in the Q&A
Oh boy. Okay.
um, that is actually, I think, something great that you alluded to, but um, I think it could is deserving of even further thought for us all
Sure.
is how do cohort members who would like to stay engaged after the 1 year time commitment do so? How do they remain engaged after they finish that first year?
Sure, absolutely. Well, one of the ways that we've discussed continuing to engage cohort members, prior cohort members, is really by pairing them with new members of the academy, as maybe it's not mentoring, but maybe as a partner, maybe as a, you know, buddy. But there are other opportunities for individuals to stay connected by being connected to newer cohort members. There are also these opportunities, as I've mentioned, to explore, hey, is membership on one of the boards of visitors something that I would like to explore? So the boards of visitors exist for every school and college at the university. And unlike the Board of Trustees, which is actually the governing vehicle for the university, members of the boards of visitors offer advice, guidance, suggestions, recommendations. They help even to do some fundraising for the deans of each of the schools and colleges for areas that are related to their profession or areas of expertise. So, for example, in addition to my service as a member of the Board of Trustees, I serve as the chair of the Board of Visitors for the School of Education because that's my profession. And so there are opportunities to explore whether or not after you finish the academy, you would like to be kind of thinking about or connected to those boards of visitors. And I'm sure that the Office of Alumni Affairs has many other ways that we can leverage our Alumni Leadership Academy members in service of the university.
Absolutely. And we have another question, which
Sure.
actually reminded me of a conversation that we had previously. And so it reads, this is truly a great initiative, the Alumni Leadership Academy. How do you plan to accommodate alums that are in different parts of the world? I am in South Africa and it is almost 2 a.m. at the moment.
Hmm. Well, that is a great question. And I have some experience with this because I work at a global company. And so we are always balancing individuals who live in different regions of the world, India, China, Africa, Australia, which is very challenging. And so, that's absolutely something that we're going to have to think long and hard about after we select the initial cohort. And I will say, we will not disadvantage anyone because of where they are. Right. So if you apply and say that you're located in South Africa, that is not going to have us consider your application any differently. But once we do assemble that cohort and we see where individuals are located around the world, that's when we will have to really be thoughtful about the timing of these sessions. And maybe it is that we have to stagger the timing so that while everyone might not be able to make every single session, everyone will also not miss every single session.
Absolutely. Also, thank you for being on this call at almost 2 a.m.
Wow.
Right.
Thank you, whoever you are. Thank you so much.
And so we I want to just, respect also the first question that came in that is not actually related to the Alumni Leadership Academy, but is about the Board of Visitors program, because that's another initiative, and I don't want to just skip over that question. Um, and so this alum has stated they're not familiar with the Board of Visitors program,
Mhm.
and would like to know what the purpose is and what the Board of Visitors do.
Sure. Right. So, as I mentioned, the boards of visitors, uh, we've always had some schools and colleges that have boards of visitors, but not every school and college had a board of visitors. And at the same time that the Board of Trustees decided that we wanted to develop an Alumni Leadership Academy, we also decided that we wanted to expand the boards of visitors so that every school and college at Howard does have a Board of Visitors. And the role of the Board of Visitors is really to support the dean and his or her priority initiatives. It is to provide advice, counsel, guidance. It is to connect to help the dean connect to your network in ways that would be helpful for the work of the school or college. And it is also designed to help the dean raise funds for the school. So again, while the Board of Visitors doesn't have any governing responsibilities, it does have all of those other responsibilities. And we're always considering whether or not there are alumni out there with expertise related to our schools and colleges that can go into the kind of queue for consideration for our boards of visitors. Because, while we only have one board of trustees, we have, is it 13 schools and colleges?
14 with the graduate program.
14 schools and colleges, including the graduate schools. So there are 14 boards of visitors, which means there are many more opportunities to serve with that expanded board of visitors.
Mhm.
And I
Absolutely.
also would like to just mention TICAS, and I can never remember the exact acronym, so I may need Ms. Tyus to chime in here. But TICAS is the third initiative that was developed by the Board of Trustees, and we'll get that acronym in just a moment. And
It is the Trustee Candidate Identification Advisory Council,
thank you, trustee candidate TCIAS.
a TCIAC.
TCIAC. Okay.
Mhm.
The role of that organization is to help the Board of Trustees identify candidates for membership to the board that may not normally be on our radar through the traditional means of identifying potential members. And that group is chaired by alumni, and I believe that all the members are alumni, and their role is to help us identify alumni all over the world who have the kinds of skills, competencies, and expertise that we need, and to make sure that those alumni get into the queue for consideration. So that was the third initiative of the board that we launched, that we developed along with the boards of visitors and also the Alumni Leadership Academy.
Absolutely. And we put that link in the chat for TCIAC as well. So
Great.
everyone can look at that page.
Thank you.
Um, and so just being mindful of time, I think that for our participants on the call, the application is open. And so once again, I will put the link to Alumni Leadership Academy page in the chat so you can apply. The application link is there's a button on the bottom of the page where you can complete the application. You do have a month to do so, but we also hope that you will spread the word about the Alumni Leadership Academy to all of our alumni across the globe. And so spread the word now so they also have ample time to complete the application as well before the November 21st deadline.
Absolutely.
Um, and with that, we do hope that our alumni will stay involved, and we will continue to keep you engaged as you complete the application, as you um, you know now that you've attended the Alumni Insight Call, and as you engage with the Department of Alumni Relations, we will keep you in the loop around further initiatives and how you can continue to support Howard, both at through this initiative, but then also through the various other opportunities for engagement that we provide. And so without further ado, Trustee Howard, if you have any last notes for our participants today.
Well, first of all, to Dr. Bilal, to Ms. Lawanda Tyus, I would like to thank you for your help in developing the Academy. Without the two of you, we would not even be at this point where we'd be able to launch. So my heartfelt thanks to both of you. I would also like to thank each and every member of our alumni community who took time out of your schedule to join this call. This initiative is especially kind of near and dear to my heart because I am of the alumni community. I am an alum myself, a very proud alum. And I often say I will never be able to give back all that Howard has given to me. So I hope that with that spirit, you will apply and engage and look for opportunities to give back to Howard. So I'm super excited and I look forward to having the opportunity to work with so many of you. And as I said, even if you're not selected for this initial cohort, we will find ways to make sure that you also can engage more intimately with the university. So thank you for being here, especially those of you who are in time zones other than Eastern Central Time. Thank you so much for making that sacrifice and have a wonderful rest of your evening or day.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.